Welcome back to the Get Your Life series, the podcast where healing, honesty, and hard truths meet love, laughter, and living your best life. I'm your host, Galen J Byrnside, life coach, survivor, and the unapologetic CEO of Dope Attire to Inspire LLC. It's been a minute since our last episode, but today's topic, it's a big one. We're talking about something a lot of people experience but don't always have the words for: trauma bonding. That's right, we're going there. So let's break this down. What is trauma bonding? So, trauma bonding is a psychological response to abuse. It happens when the cycle of abuse is mixed with intermittent love, affection, or attention. Think the high after the hurt, the I'm sorry, baby, after the blow up, the I'll change right before the repeat. It forms because the brain gets addicted to these highs and these lows. It's not weakness, it's biology. The brain releases dopamine, oxytocin during reconciliations, confusing love with survival. So, what are some signs of trauma bonding? You defend or make excuses for abusive behavior. You feel stuck, like leaving isn't an option. You believe the person can change despite repeated harm. The idea of leaving causes you anxiety, guilt, fear. Trauma bonds are like invisible chains. You can't always see them, but you can feel their weight. So I want to take a moment and get real with you as I always do. I know trauma bonding, not just from my education or coaching experience, but from my own life. There was a time in a past relationship where I thought what I had was love, when really it was survival wrapped in chaos. There were moments of sweetness, passion, and promises. Those were the highs. But between those were insults, manipulation, isolation, and even violence. I would find myself saying, but he said he's sorry. But I've seen the good in him. If I just do this better, maybe he won't blow up again. I didn't know then that I was trauma bonded. I thought I was just in love with a complicated man, but love shouldn't feel like walking on glass barefoot. It took a long time, therapy, tears, journaling, reclaiming my identity, but I finally broke the bond. And let me tell you, when I did, that's when I started to get my life. Don't get it twisted though, because there were times even after I broke that bond that I went back because he was my safe space, but there was nothing safe about that relationship. I even moved to a completely different state. But when I felt alone, I called him and it was just like old times. But then I realized that I was doing something that I probably shouldn't be doing. There's no reason why I should be going back to this man. There's no reason why I should call this man. And he did the exact same thing when I brought him around me. And so that was the real end for me. Break the chains, y'all. Break the chains. But when you do that, you get a lot of people saying, well, I would just leave. Well, why can't you just leave? Well, let's talk about why it's so hard to leave. Leaving breaks the cycle and the body panics without the high. Fear of being alone, fear of retaliation, or fear of starting over often keep people in toxic relationships. Society often teaches us that loyalty means staying, but in reality, loyalty to yourself must come first. Leaving a trauma bond isn't about giving up, it's about waking up. Most people don't realize that the most dangerous time for you is when you try to leave a relationship. And that is, unfortunately, when a lot of people either experience the worst part of the domestic violence or they lose their life. But let's flip side that coin. How do you start healing? You can take some steps towards that by acknowledging the bond. Name it for what it is. It's trauma and it's a trauma bond. Educate yourself. Learn the patterns and how your brain has been conditioned. Cut contact. Detox from the emotional roller coaster. Therapy or coaching. So, trauma informed care is critical. And I'm actually in school now to become a trauma informed counselor. So, be sure when you're seeking out someone and you've been through something traumatic that the people that you're talking to are actually informed and trained in trauma. You build a support system because you don't have to heal in isolation and reconnect with your identity. Find joy, hobbies, and purpose again. Healing isn't a straight line. It's messy, it's emotional, but it's so damn worth it. Take it from me, because there were times where I went back over and over and over again. It's almost like healing from a death and going through the emotions. You don't go through it in a straight line. Sometimes you bounce back and forth. And if you're listening to this and you recognize yourself in anything that I said, I want you to know you're not crazy. You're not broken. You're bonded by trauma, but you can break free. And when you do, you don't just survive, you rise, you thrive, you get your life. In this episode, we talked about a lot in a little bit of time. But I wanted to give you guys something because it's been a while since I've actually done one, and I'm coming back. I apologize for letting life get in the way. But if this episode resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can tag me, you can DM me. Let's talk about it. Until next time, love yourself hard, set boundaries louder, and remember, breaking the bond doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're free. This has been another episode of the Get Your Life series. I'm Galen J Byrnside, and I'll see you next time. And I promise you, it will not be a year from now. Be blessed.